Again, we are told so often about systemic or institutional racism in Britain that many people have internalised the lie. In other words, they have come to believe that it is true and that we live in a society riven by racial prejudice. That the proposition is sheer nonsense is shown by the election to the leader of the Conservative Party of a black African woman who had no connection at all to this country until after leaving school. A woman for whom English was not her first language. Let us pause for a moment and consider what a truly extraordinary situation that is. In particular, let's ask ourselves if we can imagine this happening in reverse. That is to say, does anybody believe that a white English schoolgirl of 16 could have landed in Nigeria in the 1990s and then risen to be the leader of one of the main political parties in the country, with every prospect of being the next Prime Minister? Such an idea is so fanciful that it instinctively brings a smile to our lips. The white leader of a black African country? But why? Remind me again which of these two countries, Nigeria and Britain, is supposed to be the one which is institutionally racist. Does anybody think that the average Nigerian would tolerate the prospect of a white Prime Minister running their country? It wants a bit of believing, doesn't it? All the objective evidence suggests that racial prejudice has been declining in this country for the last 50 years or so. Returning to the idea of a white teenager emigrating to Nigeria and being in the running for Prime Minister after a few decades shows us perhaps where the real racism lies. Kemi Badenoch's only connection with Britain until the age of 16 was that her mother flew here to give birth, so that her baby would acquire British citizenship just by being born here, according to the law at that time. Until she came to this country in 1996, Badenoch had no connection at all with Britain, other than having been here for a couple of weeks following her birth. She has been very successful here, and the colour of her skin and her national origin has proved no bar whatsoever to her advancement. Well, what about Nigeria and other African countries? Does anybody at all think that this is the case there? Do any viewers honestly think that white immigrants to those countries are offered an equal chance of getting on, as Kemi Badenoch was in Britain? Do they really think that a white person would be accepted by some major political party in Nigeria, Ghana or Uganda and allowed to progress to be leader of that party with the prospect of leading the country in a few years? Can anybody honestly visualize the idea of a white leader of a black African nation? I suspect personally that Britain is a good deal less racist than those countries, because here such an achievement passes virtually without remark.